Hello, welcome to my world. I'm not dead. I am not dead. I am here. Come on in. Welcome to my world. I am going to try really hard to stay in focus tonight, but it is going to be difficult. Okay, welcome to my world. If you are there, come on in. I am not dead. I have survived another day, and today was one of my best. I am here. Thank you for coming. Today is Fridays. I have survived the bank. I am here. Thank you for coming. It is Financial Fridays, tips and lessons learned, and we have a big day. Where do we start? My name is Colleen Liz Frost, and this is Friday. It is tips and lessons learned, and today we're going to go over how I had to be picked up in order to leave the house today to go to the bank. It was hives from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes. It was what my sister called comatose. I told her that I can't go in. Can you just do it for me? She says, you have to go. You're on the title. It's your loan. And I just did not want to go. I literally get hives. So anyway, she came and picked me up. I got my gear on. I was prepared to fly, and I couldn't even flutter. So she had to drive me to the bank. And this is how I get when I go to the bank. Why? Because of interest. It is here's what okay, we're going to talk about interest. And we're going to talk about cement because that's what it feels like. Lastly, we're going to talk about snowballs because thank God for the rows at the bank. So thank you for coming. We just have to get started. I will start out by telling you that I am so glad I'm doing this. It takes me back to 1977. I don't know where you were, but I felt that the only place that remotely reminded me of New York was our home theater. And when I get a chance to tell you about Mr. and Mrs. Washi, I will, but it's only been a few months since he passed away, and she's been gone for, I think, roughly 3 years. And these were probably some of the depth of my Club 33 members, and I will be sharing them when I'm ready. Uh, Anyway, it was 1977, and my cousin Joy and I had to go to Greece. And we could not get in because it was rated R. And my mother and Marilyn took us. They sat in the back, and it was a breakthrough movie because it was John Travolta. And there's so many stories to come. I'm going to live to be 103, die in my sleep, and live forever. Thank God I found YouTube. Um, and Vince Fontaine said very clearly that it doesn't matter if you win or lose, it's what to do with your dancing shoes. And I absolutely loved Grease. And I asked my mother, I said, wasn't it just like that, Mother? Wasn't it like that? And when she walked out of that movie, she says, honey girl, it was nothing like that. And first of all, if your dad ever treated me like that, and she was right. And Frenchie was my favorite. So there's a lot to say about Grease, but not in this movie. However, when I thank God for my family, let's go back to the bank. Thank God for my family because when I was picked in the house as a family caretaker, my family did step in and co-sign at the bank for this note that I had. It was a smaller note as compared to some people who have big notes. But at the same token, it was a co-signer. It's so funny because at this particular bank, they would call me every year to ask for my financial statement. Well, for those of you that know me, I find that very personal. So with this particular co-signer, being my sister, I just felt like, why would they need me? So I just refused to do it, and I got by without turning that in. And I just thought that was, one of my little things I could do. You know, um, But anyway, the $5,363 that we paid off today, I am now no longer paying interest. And I was able to fly home. So and then it's kind of funny, now that I just owe my family, interest free, I now have a small note to my family. I think to myself, now that I am, puttering, my little motor's puttering, they know that at any given time I could fly away and leave them like dust in the wind. So I just perhaps could have a little bit of leverage here. Thank God I have all of you to talk to about this because, I could, well, that's another video. Anyway, it is great, and I'm glad I was picked for the family caretaker, and I thank God for my family that they stepped in and helped me take over those payments. And but it is nice to know there's a thing called a satisfaction that is going to be mailed to me, and I told them don't call me because I don't answer the phone, and email me, and I will be in there to pick it up. And I was kind of shocked today because you would think with paying off a note that there would be a party or something, or the loan people would come out and greet me. However, nothing, not a thing. And I have a tip for all the people that run a bank. And keep in mind, I was a banker. And so I have plenty of stories to tell you about I had what was called D paper. So I rented it out to very high risk dealers. That's another video. But there was nobody to come out and greet us and give us a pat on the back or a good job or you're a good client or anything. But they did have some mugs out the door. So I took some mugs, a few, and I did go and with my little handy dandy license plate for my airplane, I was able to gather up some pens and so forth. So I want to thank the bank for their free gifts. And I hope that they enjoyed the tens of thousands of dollars in interest that I was able to pay them. So with that, if you are a banker out there and own the bank, I would just suggest that there should at least be some balls, some balloons, or some sparklers, or some kind of a celebration. I mean, it's a big day. So I proceeded, my sister and I, to go through a drive-through, grab a Diet Coke for the first time. I don't usually go to pay for Diet Cokes, and it was awesome. So I did make it home, and I just had the best day. So anyway, as Mom and Dad always said, a penny saved is a penny earned, and they preached it to me. But cancer changed my game. I had 1 year to live, and what would you do? So of course I bought an opera house with my twin brother. And then you know what I did? I eventually wrote a book about this story on how I failed. I did not have a business plan, and well, then I lived. So it was a struggle to keep paying on that. And we paid on it for many years, my twin and I. And so when my parents got sick and broken hips and so forth, it was an honor to take care of them. And I just recommend anyone that has a family that can step in and help with payments and so forth to hang on to dreams. I'm just forever grateful. Let's go back to the snowballs. And I'll tell you about Rosie. As I was sitting there celebrating my big payoff with the bank, there was a woman who walked in while we were paying for our Diet Coke, and her name is Rosie. And she's older now, and she was all dressed up. And I asked her, how was she? And we got to visiting. And I told her, I said, I wish there was some place to go and dance, that there was no alcohol, we didn't have to spend so much money. And she says, we were just talking about that. And I said, I would love to start like a dance club where we didn't have to, have dinner with them and we didn't have to sleep with them. We could just ask them to dance. And I don't want people that are, let's say, that need to be taught. I don't want any clodhoppers. I don't want anyone that's drinking, because we don't want, that when they lean into you and they're sloppily drunk, the type. So I met with these three women very intimately with this heavy duty networking, and we put together a plan and action. This is absolutely took place in 15 minutes. We exchanged numbers. I put them in my license plate, and then I immediately flew over to our Perm Area Community Center. And do you know, I met with Lee, and guess what I have brewing? This all happened on the big payoff. He will allow 14 people to come in. It can be, I'm hoping for widowers. Uh, anyway, I would like to have 7 men, 7 women, or I don't know how to say any gender. I'm researching this. Anyway, I want to be proper. So anyone, all people that would like to come, it can only be 14. So I'm going to put together a menu, and it will be said properly because I'll consult with my people that know how to talk about people. And we are going to have the best time ever. And if it grows, well, then we'll have to venture out to a bigger place. So this is what I have cooking all in one day. And it is going to be free. He said, Colleen, it is such a good idea. He said, we are going to offer you the whole room. It's the yoga room. It has wood floors. I'm going to bring my thing called the Bluetooth. And I'm going to be a DJ again. And when the music is spinning, I'm going to say, Snowball. And people are going to change partners. And I want you to bring your orange juice container filled with water. Take your break. They'll have handicap bathrooms. I'll bring my oxygen meter. There'll be CPR people there, and it will be fantastic. We won't have to lift those weights. And here's my goal. My son, in 2012, when I was all ready to go with this business plan, he bought me tap shoes because I wanted to get my ankles strong enough to get up off my feet and learn how to jump on my feet, because I had met a flamenco dancer. And my dream is to dance alone, because I find it going to be very difficult for this generation of middle-aged people to remember how to dance. Because my dad, I want to take him to my dance club because he can still stand on his walker and he can still dance pretty well. But I'm talking the foxtrot, the waltz. I want those dancers to come on out. And if some of you middle-aged widowers want to come out, if you still remember those dances, otherwise find a YouTube video and figure it out and then come. In the meantime, I want to dance, and I want to start a dance club, and it will be the last Friday starting in June, and I only need about 14 people. So this is what happened today with Rosie. So I'm pretty excited. I asked my mother one time, I said, what is the secret to being married almost 70 years? Well, she waited almost 3 days to tell me. She pondered on purpose. She usually pondered all those big things on purpose. They teach us everything, those big things. And when she did finally tell me how that was, it was a story about rainbows, and I can't tell it tonight. You have to be a little bit further down the road from your mourning process, but you know why that is? Because your parents teach you everything. They're the ones that put the crowns on your head. So I think everybody just needs a year when you lose your parents. You just got to process that. But that 1977 movie in Greece, and those people like the Washies and that, it's just going to take some time. But when my mother said to me, she says, Colleen, when we started out, we had nothing. 3 days later, she says, we didn't have anything. She said, I promised myself when I saw John Travolta that I would marry a dancer. Well, I didn't. And my mother said that back then there wasn't any money, there wasn't any things. None of us had anything, but we were able to go up to the Mill City Hall and dance. She said Bud was as light as a feather. He didn't clod hop. He twirled me around and around, and he made it all about me. He shined the light, let my light shine. He was my diamond. He was the light of my life. When he asked me to dance, he led me. He had eyes only for me. He twirled me and claimed me as his queen. There was nothing bigger, brighter, or better than the pedestal of the man who lets you shine your crown. This is why I married your dad. He made my life bigger, brighter, and better. He was that triple A kind of man. You know, they stopped time when Dad and I took the floor, honey girl. And they cleared it, and they were like Saturday Night Fever, because she saw Saturday Night Fever too. She said it just all cleared away. Dad knew the foxtrot and the waltz, and we stayed clear of those polkas and clod-hopping songs. I was determined, when cancer changed my game, to teach my son how to dance, and he did. He did go to dance classes with me at a very young age. He knows how to waltz, and he knows how to foxtrot. I didn't want him to be the one-legged fang. I wanted him to be able to dance. I encourage him to find someone that he can make the light shine bright. Well, I'm going to get my dad dancing with me again. We dance at home, and I want to be social. I want to start my own traveling snowball club, calling all widowers and those of us who have a history of picking the wrong dancers, the wrong people that don't dance. I'm hoping that you will try that type of club. If you're interested, DM me. If you're interested, let me know. But the three things that I want you to remember for tonight, I want you to remember that if you have someone that you can call, like today when I walked back in the door from flying back home, my son called me, and he is the feather in my step. We were doing dishes. He was doing dishes and calling me and cheering me on. I wanted to tell him about the flamingo dancing, but I was too busy hearing about his day. And then he stopped and he says, "Oh, Mother, let me cheer you on. What's happening?" And I just thought for a minute. I said, you know what? I can wait. I can wait to tell him about the flamingo dancing and all those things. And instead I told him about the big victory that I had. Thank God I have the time. And I just want to have more time. And this is why I say that if you have time, call somebody that you know and maybe give them a lesson or a tip from your history. And maybe tomorrow we can create more with the snowball dance. Debt free or not, I want you to know that today, the second thing that happened great is that I did order from my debit card a new laminator. And years ago, when I wrote the book, when I thought I only had 1 year, I did write my son a book. And here's the very first book that I wrote my son, and I finally wrote the full book. And I encourage all of you to write something down for your children. And I'm glad that I did. It had the feather, it has the rose, and it has the time. The number one winner of all is time, isn't it? And it has the first book. And it has the picture of him as my dancer. And I'm just so thankful that I've had the years go by. And so that was my third thing I wanted to share, is that I did get a laminator and I paid for it without interest. So the hives are done, and I am once again alive and well. thank goodness. And those bankers that didn't celebrate, that's okay. And this time around, I'm listening and I have taken notes to file. I've listened to my rocks, the people that I value. I can't wait to tell you more about them. This is my pre-launch and I'm in development. And I'm going to take a sauna now because it's been a long day. But years ago when I had the Opera House in Staples, I used to pay for things like this, my laminating cards. But today I'm making all my own things and I'm gluing them for prototypes. And soon I'm going to learn how to run that laminator. I'm going to make my homemade things for you. So here's my bookmark laminating stuff. So I'm going to be an arts and craft person and I'm going to do it and save the money. So I'm going to do the best I can and I'm going to get better every day. And I think I'm going to write those bankers a thank you letter because I really had a good day celebrating the fact that I survived. I survived the bank and I survived paying interest. So if you have a fun story to tell about your tips or advice for me, I'm willing to learn some more. So thanks. Remember me. Here's I can't wait to tell you about this. And you know what's great about the older people that I want to hang out with so bad? Is that this is what my dad looks at every single night. Then he'll be up in about a half an hour. But this is him and mom dancing. His favorite picture. And that's why they got married. It wasn't the money, the things. It was because they loved to dance. So I hope that if you are lucky enough to be married with your person, I hope that you take her dancing. And I hope that when my boy comes home, we put on some John Travolta and we Saturday Night Fever all over the house because that's what we used to do. And today at the sink, he had his tunes blaring and I just love to hear about his music. So thanks for letting me share. I'm glad you all have your people and my dad is my person. I can't wait to take him to the pack. So that's 2 seats. I need 12 more. Of course, I'll make you a menu. Sincerely, Colleen.